Welcome back, War Room fans. Game 9. Now, Game 9. We're just going to do the Pacific Theater. Here it is in all its glory. Bryce and I have been thinking since we finished our last game, because I think any fans of the channel realize that Bryce and I do agree that Japan needs victory conditions. Otherwise, the game just turns into, let's just all bum rush Russia and hope it all comes out good. So, Bryce called me one day and said, well, why don't we put in the victory conditions for Japan? Which is what? They need to take India or Eastern Australia?
You have to take one of the British factories, essentially.
And then they either take Alaska,
Hawaii, or the
Western United States. So they have to take one of the British main territories, India, Eastern Australia, or they have to take Alaska, Hawaii, or Western United States. So we're going to play just the Pacific scenario tonight and kind of see how it goes, since we never actually played just a scenario. And I do think right now that this is the way to go. You know, that Japan does need these victory conditions. Because if you don't put them in the game, then Japan basically has no recourse and just declaring war on Russia, and let's just make it all about Russia and Germany, and then, take them out, and hopefully we can take out England by turn 8. So we're going to play this game. I'm actually looking forward to it, because I think in a scenario, because it's just me and Bryce, and we're starting up at around 6 o'clock, let's see how far we can go. Can we get in like 8 turns, 10 turns? I don't know. Let's see how it goes, guys. I'll be back after we do the movement on turn 1. Okay, guys, we're back at the end of turn 1. So the United States bid 2. Japan bid 2, but U.S. won it. So they went up top. Japan went bottom. It filled in. So we'll notice over here in India, the Indians are building 2 artillery, 2 infantry. Notice the Chinese completely bailed into C3 and C4, and Japan moved in. Now, because of the scenario, there's absolutely no reason to keep anything in Manchuria, so they all bailed down to J4. So that's where they're at. British got their fleet up there off the coast of India. Now, because the United States went first and everything, they dumped everything they could over here into Eastern Australia. Japan didn't even contest the Solomons, so the United States took that, the 15th sitting on it. Notice over here, Japan's building a cruiser and a sub, a couple land units. Now, on their turn, they had all kinds of orders to go to P-19 to crush us, but we moved out. Notice over here the United States is consolidating off of Hawaii. British moved into Alaska. Everything else, though, is staying status quo. United States built a cruiser, a sub, artillery, armor, and a couple of infantry. So here's where we stand at the end of turn 1. So let's see what happens after orders of turn 2. Okay, guys, back. Started turn 2. After orders, Japan bid 2, correct? 3. Everybody else bid 0. So over here, we got the Japanese coming up here to take out the British fleet. As the British are still just chillaxing in India. But because of the turn, Bryce forgot to move the 24th. So we just have this huge, basically the entire Chinese army is in C3 with 2 British aircraft out of India against all those Japanese. And what do you got? 6 planes in there? 5 planes.
Yeah.
Then down here, Japan said to heck with it, sent their whole fleet into P-18 with a little air support, 2 planes, but the British got 2 fighters. The Americans are coming over now. Got their planes coming over. So that's where we stand in the middle of turn 2. So we'll see what happens with the massive throwdown. Okay, guys, we're back at the end of turn 2. You can see down here, Japan smacked the British. All they got left is 1 CV off of Calcutta. Britain's building only 1 armor down here. But notice up here, China smacked them down. All they got left is 1 infantry in the 30th. But notice they're coming in up here. China built 2 infantry in the 106. Down here, yep, they destroyed the American Navy. Britain has 1 sub, 2 carriers, 2 battleships, and a sub is in P-18. Notice Anzac's building the sub. But the Americans are coming on over for the next round of combat, bringing the planes over. We got our cruiser and sub over here. United States built a carrier, a bomber, and a couple of land units. So that's where we stand. Now up here on the morale board, Britain popped. So they are hurting. In this specific scenario, I mean, losing 3 resources is like almost 25% of their total resources, so that really hurts. So we'll see what happens at the end of turn, or in the middle of turn 3. Okay, after orders of turn 1, Japan bid 1, everybody else bid 0. Japan decided to go to the bottom. So by going to the bottom, we got our battle up here. Britain came into Burma uncontested. British are bringing in a fighter to strafe those 2 guys. Up here in C3, the entire Chinese army bounced back up to C4, which made the 65th pause and cancel their order. Notice the Japanese are coming down here, getting off the coast of Southeast Asia, bringing down some more planes. The British are coming up into New Guinea. Got our big P-18 smackdown with everything. Notice the Americans are bringing all their planes down, though, to Australia as reinforcement. They didn't bring anything up. So that's where we stand after orders in turn 3. So we'll be back at the end of turn 3. Okay, guys, back at the end of turn 3. So we can see over in India, building the fighter and an artillery and an infantry. 63rd came in and took Burma. But the 5th, the naval, took out the British. Japan's bringing in their, pretty much all the rest of their air forces in Indochina now. The British strafed Thailand, took out an artillery. 24th came into Szechuan. Took all my chicken, those assholes. So the Chinese have retreated back up to their capital. Notice Japan's building, what is that? 2 subs, 2 cruisers. Got some more air units off of Okinawa. But down here, Japan won the naval fight. But America still has a battleship and a sub. But they finally got all their planes down here. So That's interesting. Now, the Americans, we got a lag. So there's a 1-turn delay here, guys. America brought in everything they could. Now, here's the reinforcement chain coming up. So America's got cruiser, carrier, sub off the coast, got a battleship, cruiser, sub being built. So, and they got 10 land units, that 40 seconds and 8 stack. So America's gonna have to start bringing in some reinforcements because that, all their guys over there and then all their guys over here and nothing in between. So this might be a turn where America is just reinforcing, bringing guys up. So we'll see what happens. Okay. So we'll be back middle of turn 4. Okay, guys, back middle of turn 4. Britain and Japan bid 2. Britain won, so they went up top. Japan went bottom. So over here, because Britain went first, they came crashing in with all the Chinese into Sichuan. 95th came up with those planes to take Burma. Japan came up here into C1. Down here, Britain was thinking of bringing the 36 over, but they were afraid the 5th was going to retreat, which is what they did. So that's good, because if they would have brought the 36 over here to try to invade, that carrier plane would have come down and just sunk all those guys. So we guessed right there. We have a huge battle of New Guinea going on here. I mean, this is ridiculous. America's bringing in 3 strats. They got a strat and they got 3 fighters against my 3 strats. He's got an infantry. He's got an artillery. I got an infantry. But the Americans landed the 69th in Papua, South New Guinea. So they're reinforcing. We have our big battle over here. U.S. has all their fighters out. So we'll see what happens. Britain came off into P11, the Canadians. And the Americans brought their fleet up off of the Aleutians. And we got an 8 stack and a bomber off Hawaii. And this is what's coming in on reserves. So here we go, guys. We'll see what happens. Okay, guys, back after round 4. So we can see the British and Chinese liberated Sichuan. Japan's coming up, reinforcing Southeast Asia. China took the central lands again, reinforced up here into 101. Down here, we're reduced to just 1 battleship apiece now. Down in P18. 17th came over into Western Australia with 5 fighters. 69th is there. The Battle of New Guinea still rages. Notice up here, Japan's got 2 cruisers, 2 subs, building a a CV and a sub. And here come the Americans. They're coming on over. So that's what we're looking like. And Japan and Great Britain are still in labor and civil unrest. So we'll see what happens in the middle of turn 5. Okay, guys, middle of turn 5. Japan bid 5. That's how the order came out. So everybody's throwing it down right here in the middle of Sichuan. The British out of India are taking Burma. That's what we got up here. We got the C4 and C1 combat going on. The Americans are bringing over some fighters on I-9. Down here we got 2 battleships against 1 battleship and some fighters. Down here 2 battleships and 1 battleship against some fighters. The Americans are coming over into P12. British are landing in Wake. But notice the Americans now are bringing over all their land stacks. Got their reserve fleet over here on the 1st. So the Americans are slowly coming over with all their land power. That's where we stand at the middle of turn 5. End of turn 5 here. And we'll see the Americans landed up here in Burma. 60th is coming out. Big smackdown in Szechuan. Japan's got 2 guys. Britain's got 4 infantry, 1 infantry up there. But Japan's bringing in all their guys. Down here, they won the Battle of P-18. They got 2 battleships. And the Americans are coming on over. They just got their staggered out fleets coming in. So that's how it looks at the end of turn 5. America's, got another carrier and a sub and still building some goodies over here. So that's how we go. And then up here, now China moved up to the Labor and Civil Unrest Party. So that's where we stand at the end of turn 5. Okay, after turn order in turn 6, everybody bid 0. Japan actually won the random draw, and they didn't know what to do, so they just went first. So they came up here trying to knock off the Chinese. Got the big throwdown once again down here. British keep reinforcing out of India. The Battle of New Guinea is on once again.
I missed one.
Then they retreated up to P1 thinking we were going in there. But no, we rallied off of P12 with all those land units and all our naval. Brought out some planes thinking we would just land on those things and get caught. But the Americans, the Americans just keep slowly bringing guys over. So we'll see how it plays out at the end of turn 6. Okay, end of turn 6. So you can see the United States keeps building up. Got some subs, some bomber and fighter. Keep coming on over. Got them stacked out here in P12. Allies took New Guinea. The Americans. It was mutual destruction in Szechuan. And then 1 reinforcement popped up, but they did take out C5. Notice the Americans are over there in Burma. Not many British out of India are left, but then again, there's not many actual Japanese ground troops either. So it was just like, everybody hit a wall over there and blew up. So the Allies are pushing them back into P1. So we'll see what happens. No one went up on the stress wheel this turn. So that's where we stand. And we'll go from there. So we'll see what happens in the middle of game turn 7. Okay, guys, middle of turn 7. Japan bid all their oil, 7? To go first. Everybody else bid 0. So they immediately jumped out to P12 with everything they had. The Americans reciprocated, and they have 1 extra naval unit, which allowed them to get into the Carolines. No, that's not the Carolinas, it's the Marianas, with all their land stacks. Over here, they're moving into China, slowly creeping up to India. India went into Thailand, just holding off. First came over to help reinforce, but otherwise the Americans, they got 2 strat bombers just flying around over here in P19. And that's where we stand after the middle of turn 7. It was a tame turn in terms of movement and combats because, as Bryce pointed out, we don't really have any units left. I mean, it's getting down to the bare minimum here. Okay, be back at the end of turn 7.
It's 11
Okay, guys.
Yeah.
Yep, we're calling it for the night. We finished game turn 7. So here's where we stand. So Japan kind of reorganized, and they're slowly moving towards India. Over here, the Allies are they got their land units up here, but Japan came out in P12, and Bryce finally won a big battle. All the Allies have left is 2 guys. He's got 2 battleships, a carrier and a sub out there. But the Americans did get on the Marianas with 10 guys, and we got 2 bombers on the Marianas. U.S. is coming over with another carrier and a sub. They got 2 more subs over here. Building, looks like another bomber and a fighter. There are 2 fighters and a bomber over there, and they're building another stack of ships. So
those are being built, or they're there?
No, they're there. No, those were built from last run. This is what I built.
Well, no, I was just because you said they were building.
No, I thought they were building. Okay. No, those were there. So, game's still in the balance. It's like a 50-50 shot, we think. It's not over yet. So it's a very competitive game. We're through 7 turns on the morale track. Everybody's up 1, except for the United States. So this is where we're going to leave it for tonight, and then we'll pick it up on game turn 8 at some point here in the future. So I'll be talking to you guys later. And everybody be safe out there. Talk to you later. Bye.